What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the King Closers Formula. I am the King Closer, RJ Bates III, coming to you live on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon at 2:22 p.m. We're going to be discussing, should you have a partner in wholesaling real estate? This is a conversation that I regularly have to have with newer wholesalers, and it's kind of funny because a lot of newer entrepreneurs, they want to have a business partner early on, but then it's the conversation as to why do you want to have a business partner? So that's more of what we're going to be talking about and trying to help you determine whether or not you should have a partner or whether you shouldn't. Now, I will say up front, obviously, because I've had a business partner for the past 14 plus years of being an entrepreneur, I am a partner type entrepreneur. I like having a business partner, but that's my personality. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about is, why do you want to have a business partner? And do you think it's the best setup for you as a business owner and operator? And then also the reasoning behind it, and also how to identify whether or not you have the right business partner and whether or not it's going to succeed long term. Now, I view partnership in business very much like I do in a relationship. This should be something that you're going into and trying to have forever. And that's the conversation that I've had with my business partners is, hey, is this something that you want to do 20 years from now? Is this something that you want to do all the way for the rest of your career? Because otherwise, if not, we can do business together, but it doesn't necessarily mean we need to have ownership in a organization, a business together. We don't have to formalize this. We could just do deal by deal. We don't have to become literally married in our business together forevermore. So looking at this, I feel like many people jump into a partnership way too early and loosely. And I even have made this mistake. Me and Cassie combined have made this mistake where it was just, instead of doing some sort of joint venture together, we immediately jumped to partnering with other people. And in the very short run, we learned, hey, this isn't something that we should have done. This isn't a person that we should be partnered with. We don't align in our core values, in our work ethic, and how we really view our goals together. And so I'm going to give you guys kind of a little bit of a tip on how to overcome that, and something that we have leveraged, and really something that I'm most proud of with Titanium University is that business partnership, not only with myself and Cassie, but also with Nick and Sema, where it's 4 business partners. It's not just 2. And that's a lot of personalities to manage. It's also a lot of responsibilities inside of a business to manage, and how we overcome that. Now, going back to, I believe many people partner who shouldn't, right? It takes a lot of sacrifice and understanding to have a partner in business. Just quite frankly, the low-hanging fruit thing to think about is how the money is split up. Right? I mean, why do we run our business? It's to support ourselves, to make money. It's how we feed our families. For every business partner that you add on, that's one more mouth that you have to feed. So if you go out and you do $50,000 in a month, that's a great month, right? Unless there's 4 business owners. And then, well, that gets spread up pretty quickly. And it's still a good business, but it's not as much money as if you were doing it by yourself. And so this is something that I always talk to newer entrepreneurs about is, hey, what do you really want your business to look like? It's a completely different type of operation to run a $1 million a year revenue company from a $3 to $5 million a year company to a $10 million a year company. There's a lot of overhead that has to come in when you increase the revenue. There's additional administrative roles that you have to manage, the training, the hiring, the recruiting, everything that comes along as you grow. And as the business owners, your take home gets diluted as there's more overhead, more people, and more business partners. And so realistically, when I think about should people partner up or should they not early on, it's, well, let's think about what your individual goals are inside the business. Now, sometimes it comes across where you see people that are skilled and talented and they're driven with their energy by certain aspects of the business, right? Some people love acquisitions, lead generation, but it's draining of their energy to focus on dispositions and transaction coordination and the paperwork that's involved. Now, that's someone that should absolutely look into partnering up with someone that's a skill set that they want, because even though you could delegate that out to an employee, who's going to own the training of that role? Who's going to own the management of those people that you delegate those tasks out to? And that could be just as draining or more so draining than just doing the task itself. Always having to teach someone how to do dispositions, always having to worry about what's taking place during transaction coordination. And so these are things that you need to think about when you're contemplating bringing on a business partner. I was having a meeting with a TU member who was using that example perfectly, where he was saying, I love acquisitions. Everything else inside the business is extremely draining. It drains me of my energy. And quite frankly, it makes me not love wholesaling. That's someone that should potentially look at partnering up with someone who has a passion for the other sides of the business, the other aspects of the business. Now, again, you have to look at it and say, in order for that to make sense, and you still make the exact same amount of money, you almost have to double the revenue or even triple the revenue, or otherwise it wouldn't make sense. Now, that's one of the things that I want to talk about when it comes to partnering in business. It should not be, well, one partner plus another partner equals 2. It should be 1 + 1 = 10. And what I mean by that is if you bring someone on as a business partner, they should make your business so much more efficient and profitable that you're not even contemplating whether or not you made the right decision by bringing on a partner inside of your business. It should absolutely extrapolate throughout your business where the growth is enormous, and otherwise there is no reason why you partnered up, right? I don't want to go out and make the exact same amount of revenue that I could have done by myself, or double that and still have the exact same amount take home, because then I'm having to do twice as many deals, twice as many headaches to make the exact same amount of money, even if I'm only in charge of the exact same thing, right? Acquisitions. Well, if I did half the amount of deals, that's easier for me to accomplish for the exact same take home. So your business partner should always make your business that much better. And that's what I feel like me and Cassie have been able to accomplish. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be in the position where I'm at today if it wasn't for all of the business partners that I've had. Even the ones that we had to learn lessons by being business partners together, that was a part of my journey. But having Cassie as a business partner for the past 14 years is literally the best decision that I've ever made. And the reason why is because, one, accountability. Having her there alongside me every single day, I wake up and I know she is counting on me to show up and give 100%, because I expect the exact same thing of her. And because of that, every day I show up and I give 100%. Now, that is a unspoken agreement that we have together as business partners. But that expectation was set before we ever signed documents on an LLC. Right? That doesn't mean anything. The expectation that we set for each other was, this is what we're going to do with our careers. And this is what we want to accomplish. We knew that we had aligned goals. We knew that we had aligned core values. And we also knew that our work ethic was very, very similar. And so day in and day out, we show up on time. We do our job. We prioritize doing the right thing and making sure that we're accountable to each other. Now, at this point, we've been doing it for so long, we don't really have to have conversations about whether or not we're doing our job or not doing our job. And to be quite frank, That's how partnerships are supposed to work. It's not just another employee. It's literally your partner in this. So you need to know that up front. So the way that you can really make sure that you have the right partner is what we like to refer to the crawl, walk, run stage. So before you ever get on in an LLC or an entity together, crawl. Do something together. Do some JV deals. Maybe one does acquisitions, the other does dispositions, whatever that looks like. Make sure you just do some joint venture deals and get to know each other better. You're going to learn a lot about your business partner by doing deals, a hell of a lot more than you would just by having a conversation. You need to get those deals across the finish line and see what happens when things go right and when things go wrong. Sometimes when things go right, there's people out there that will completely nuke the business. They'll self-sabotage. There's other times when things are going wrong where emotions become involved, finger pointing, blaming, which that's the worst thing in the world that could happen inside of a business partnership. So you want to get deals across the finish line, but you also want to have some deals that don't go right. You want to see how that person handles failure, how they handle some struggles before you get locked in a long-term marriage. And then when you move to, that's the crawl stage, let's walk together. Do something that's a little bit bigger. Maybe it's doing a flip or a novation together. Something that's a little bit more formal so you understand how they handle the liability of a bigger deal than just a couple of JV deals. And then eventually, once you have determined that this is someone that I want to partner up with long-term, that's the run stage. And that's where we're at Titanium Investments and Titanium University. Now, we did this exact same strategy when we started TU with Nick and Sima. Now, for those of you that don't know the story, Sima was undergoing cancer treatment at the time, and Nick attended the Titanium Crucible. It was the last ever crucible that we had here at Titanium Investments, and he sat on the back row. And during the initial 2.5-hour segment, Cassie and I got up there. We did our introduction and explained our story and what they were going to learn at the Titanium Crucible. Now, during the first bathroom break, Nick walked up to me and he literally shook my hand and said, "Dude, I've learned more in the first half of the first day than I have in all these other programs that I've been a part of. Why are you not a lot bigger in the wholesaling industry?" Now, that one question is what led to us eventually having a much deeper conversation about what Nick could bring to the table in regards to our education program. Now, Nick and Sima had a background in running marketing and lead generation for an education program. That's what led to us deciding, let's crawl together. Let's do something. Now, the first thing that we ever did together was this Tuesday Live. We started this about a year and a half ago, maybe close to two. Well, we're actually getting pretty close to 2 years, where it was every single Tuesday at 2:22 p.m. This was Nick's idea. Nick said, "I think we need to have once a week a scheduled live. What's the best day?" And I said, Tuesday at 2:22. Now it's 2:22 because 22 is the titanium. It's the 22nd element. And also Cassie was born on February 22nd. So it's a little nod and shout out to my partner there, Cassie. But that was the initial crawl. Now then our walk stage was a lead magnet. The lead magnet that probably each and every one of you has, which is the closer's formula. If you don't have that, it's right down below. I think it's the first or second link inside of our description to show you guys how to close deals. Now, that's a lead magnet in the marketing world, but it's to get us y'all's contact information so we can tell you about the programs that we eventually want to sell you. That was our walk stage. And then we decided, hey, before we formalize this, let's do something a little bit bigger. So we elongated the walk stage by doing the closer's formula, which was a live in-person event here at the Titanium headquarters where about 50 to 60 people came in and we closed deals live inside of our office. Now, we sold out that event. We did a Black Friday product, Closer's Blueprint, Titanium Profits, and we exceeded all expectations that we had for everything. And what we found out was how Nick and Sima work. We learned out the little personality quirks. We learned they go to bed at like 6 p.m. our time, and they wake up at like 3 a.m. our time. That's weird. That's something you need to know about someone that you're going to be in business with. That was an adjustment that Cassie and I had to make. We also learned that Nick and Sima make 0 decisions after 5 p.m. That's just a rule that they have for themselves. I also learned about different quirks that me and Cassie have. Now, the only way that we were ever going to know this was not having a conversation or a Zoom meeting together. It was by actually doing the work. And that's why it's important to crawl and then walk before you decide that you want to run. And so by doing these things together, we learn each other's skill sets, strengths, and little quirks. And those nuances, what we found out was, hey, it's not what I'm used to, but I can get used to it. And honestly, I've taken a lot away from how Nick and Sima carry themselves in their lives that carries over into business. And so it's made me a better person. It's made me a bit better business operator. And that's what inevitably led to us making the decision to become business partners. And that's what led to the birth of Titanium University. That started February 22nd, 2022 of 2024. It's been one of the best things that we've ever done. Now, the reason why it's one of the best things is because obviously it helps a ton of you guys. We're extremely passionate about it, but I'm also very proud of how we run our business together. I love the fact that each one of us understands what our role is, and we don't have to cross into that and question what everybody is doing. I'm blessed in the fact that I get to do something that I'm extremely passionate about day in and day out, which is sitting in front of this camera and trying to make you guys better wholesalers. Cassie's extremely passionate about what she's in charge of, and Nick and Sima are extremely passionate about what they're in charge of. Most of you people don't even know who Sima is, but she is just as vital as myself, Nick, and Cassie. That is how a business partnership should work. Now, going back to this, we are in business to make money. Knowing that there's 4 of us, that means we have to make quite a bit of money to make sure each and every one of us is happy inside of our role. The business has to be extremely profitable in order for us to get compensated due to our skill sets. We are all high-level entrepreneurs that were massively succeeding before we started Titanium University. Nick and Sima had an 8-figure business that they sold in 2023 before we even met them. So coming into this, we knew, hey, we have to be extremely successful. How can we do that? And again, going back to some of the core fundamentals that we have as business owners and operators here at Titanium, Nick and Sima completely aligned with that. Hedgehog concept. That's one of the core things that we believe in here at Titanium. Well, that was easy for Nick and Sima. We don't ask Nick and Sima to come on here and teach people how to wholesale real estate. That's not in their skill set. You shouldn't ask a partner to do something that's not a part of their strengths. You should make them lean into their strengths solely. And that's why most of you don't know who Sima is, because she's the one that's out there constantly buying the ads on Meta and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, doing all the things to make sure that you guys eventually sign up for TU. That's her job. Nick is in charge of the funnels and the copyright and helping me come up with topics for content. These are the things that he focuses on day in and day out. And that's why I'm so happy and pleased with that business partnership. Now, in the past, when I had business partnerships that failed, it was because those expectations weren't set up front. We didn't crawl. We didn't walk. It was, we're buddies. We get along. It would be awesome to be business partners. Let's go do this. But the skill sets and the strengths didn't marry each other very well. They were too alike. And sometimes that's a massive issue. See, just because someone's a friend or someone you get along with doesn't mean that it's going to make a great business partnership. Because of that, there was times where we had an overwhelming amount of strength in one area, but massive weaknesses in our business in other areas. So when you look at who you want to partner with, Make sure, one, the strengths are spread out. Two, that the work ethic is lined up and the goals are lined up. See, Nick and Sima, when I sat down with them the first time, I said, I don't even want to have this meeting if this is not something you want to do for the next 20 years. If this is not something that you are so passionate about, that this is what you want to be doing when you decide that you want to retire, there's nothing for us to have a conversation moving forward. That was the initial conversation, the initial sentence out of my mouth. And the great thing about it is that is exactly what they were looking for in a business partnership. In fact, they were actually never wanting to get into another business partnership at all. They were looking to be, as husband and wife, business partners with each other. They never wanted to go out and find an RJ and a Cassie. And so at this point, because the strengths married each other and they worked so well, that is what has aligned us as a business. Now, I see too often where I'm struggling if I can go out and I can find a business partner that can help me in some of my areas of weakness. Maybe that will lead to success. Again, I don't think that is the solution. I think that is you not looking internally and trying to fix some of the weaknesses that you have. Too often, I see people blame a weakness that they have in business on the fact that it's something that they don't enjoy or something that they don't want to do in the business. Ultimately, a business partner is not that solution. It should be someone that can do it better than you. That's their strength, that's their skill set, but also makes the business that much better. Nick and Sim are great at marketing. That is their strength. Me and Cassie, we're okay at marketing, but we had already done education for years. We had already sold out crucibles. We had already sold low-ticket items. It wasn't like we didn't know how to do it, but that's why they've been able to come in and multiply what we're able to do with TU to another level. Now, the same thing inside your wholesaling business. If you're looking at it and you're saying, I'm not getting enough deals across the finish line, does that mean because you lack in a skill set of lead generation and acquisitions? Is it because you lack a skill set in dispositions and transaction coordination? Where does it lie? And how does a business partner really align to help you there? Now, when it comes to work ethic, what I really see is more often than not, people overestimate what they're bringing to the table. As I interview and get to know more and more wholesalers, it's very few and far between where I see someone that's willing to show up 5 days a week and put in 8 to 10 hours a day. Very few. Majority of the time, it's someone says, I can do 3 to 4 hours a day. And that's just not enough. If you're going to rely on a business partner and expect them to come in and do more than you. Your goal as the business partner should always be to outwork your business partner, not complain because they're not doing enough. It should be that you're trying to impress them. That is always my intention with each one of my partners. I want Cassie, Nick, and Sima to look at me and say, no one is more consistent and hardworking than RJ. I know exactly what he's going to do. I can count on him. That is the accountability that a business partner brings. And because of that, I always look at my business partners and I'm so proud of what they do for our business. Now, too often what I hear is the finger pointing when things don't go right. This person didn't do that. That was their responsibility. That is not what you're looking for in a business partner. If the business is struggling or failing in some area, it shouldn't be because you're pointing the finger at the partner. It should be that you're pointing at the business and saying, how can we be better? 14 years of partnership with Cassie. I can tell you, we've done a lot right, but we've also done a lot wrong. And one of the worst things that we've ever done is become disgruntled with each other and pointed the finger and blamed it on each other. It's the worst thing that can ever happen. And if that is something that you would even remotely consider going into a business partnership, that means you're not at the run stage yet. Because ultimately, that means you don't know if you have the right business partner. If I woke up today and there were no booked calls inside of Titanium University, I'm not going to call Nick and Sima and point the finger at them and say, you're not doing your job. Because I know they're doing their job. I'm going to call and say, What's the issue? Let's figure it out together on how we can fix it. That is how a business partnership is supposed to work and function. And too often I see entrepreneurs get to the point where they're nowhere near that. They have no self-accountability and they don't look at it that way. They look at it as it must be the other person. And this is why so many business partnerships fail, because we jump into them too quickly. Some people shouldn't even be in business partnerships to begin with. And then when things don't go right, it's always the other person's fault. This is why business partnerships fail. And so you need to look at it and say, am I in a position where I want to have that partnership? I can tell you the majority of people are not in that position. They don't want to split the profits. They don't want to work and get as 2, 3, 10x as many deals done. They care more about what enters their bank account. To be honest with you, I don't really care about how much money I make. I say that because we make a lot of money and I'm taken care of. Of course, at one point in time, I cared about that. I care more about growing the business and working with my business partners to make it what we want it to be 20 years from now. The money comes. It's about creating the reality that we want. And I know because I'm aligned with the right people, with the right business partners, without a shadow of a doubt, that I will be able to accomplish that. That is the confidence that you need to have before you go into a business partnership long term. And now, the other thing is most people get into a business partnership because of fear. Fear of maybe I can't do this by myself. Well, it's also comparison is the thief of joy. Social media now makes it easy to say that a wholesaling operation, 6 figures a month. We just talked about it last month. Or last week, last Tuesday, we went live with Braden and Abby, right? Multiple months of 6 figures. Well, that sounds great on the surface, but there is 2 of them. Yeah, they're together and they're in a relationship. That's still 2 mouths that have to be fed. 2 people that are doing responsibilities day in, day out that have to earn income. So ultimately, if you eliminate the fact that there's 2 of them and you go down to 1, that's $50,000 a month. $50,000 a month is a lot easier for one person to accomplish as a solopreneur than 2 people earning more than $100,000. And again, remember, if you're going to bring on a partner, there's no point in doing 100,000 if you can do 50,000 by yourself. It's twice as many transactions, twice as many problems that can come up. The point here is to make your business to $250,000 a month. $300,000 a month. Now I'm using that as an example of rough numbers, but that is what you should be looking at. The majority of people don't have such strong aspirations or the work ethic to accomplish some of these big numbers that they see and hear on social media. So before you jump into a partnership because of comparison or the fear that you're not good enough, really look at it and say, how much work and effort do I want to put into this business, and what is most important to me? When I talk to most solopreneurs, I hear them say somewhere around the range is if I could do $20,000 to $40,000 a month, I would be more than happy. Well, let's break that down. The average assignment fee is $15,000. Now, I've heard different numbers, 14, 17. Some people have even said 20 plus thousand. It depends on your market and what you're doing there. But let's just say it's $15,000. The majority of new wholesalers that are working by themselves would be completely okay with closing 2 deals a month and keeping all of the money. Now, my question to you is, do you think it would be worthwhile having a business partnership to close 4 deals and have double the money? It doesn't make sense. So ultimately, think about what you want to accomplish. Is it because you want to have a vanity metric of saying that you've done $100,000 a month? Or is it more about the fact that you want to build an organization for the long run that does a lot more money and you're able to delegate the task that maybe you don't have a skill set in? If that's the case, that's where you need to look at adding on a business partner. Otherwise, if it's just to compare yourself to what you hear about on social media, it's for the wrong reasons. And long term, I don't think that business partnership will work out. Like I said at the beginning, I am a partner type guy. I like the accountability. I like working with other people. I would be pretty miserable if I was working all by myself day in and day out. But I also know the sacrifice that I have to make, and I have to show up day in and day out, not only for myself and for my family, but I have to show up for those partners that rely on me to give 100% and to be the best RJ that I can be day in and day out, because that's the exact same accountability that I'm giving them and what I expect from them. All right, that's what I got about should you have a partner in wholesale and real estate. Let's open this up for Q&A for you guys. I'll check in on these comments. All right, let's see. Simone says, we're going to shift into a different model where I mostly train under the partner a while to gain some more skills. I like that. Right now, we are JV, but maybe in the future, more 1099. I like JV. What are your thoughts? So, Simone, again, this would be the crawl, walk, run. I would consider this the crawl stage. I would do this for quite some time before you jump into any long-term partnership. I absolutely think that you should JV. You getting paid 1099, that's more of like, hey, the entity gets created, that's the entity, and then the entity's paying you. I think right now, just simplify it with JVs. Matthew says, JV is cool when you're concentrating on acquisitions. After so many deals, we should start doing 100% to my understanding. I'm still new. Matthew, absolutely. I think right now, your key focus is just on getting deals, acquisitions, and JVing out the dispo. Smiles, you're up in the mountains, man. What mountains? Where at? That is peaceful. Angel says, that's my plan. I want to dispo eventually on my own. What I'll say about that is listen, there's a little bit of a difference between a business partnership and doing JV deals, right? I think every newer wholesaler should absolutely be JVing the dispo early on. This is the best way to eliminate the roller coaster effect of I got a deal under contract, then I focus on dispo. Now the deal's closed. I don't have any more deals. That's a huge, massive issue inside of our industry. So I feel like this is one of the best ways to overcome that is by JVing those dispositions. Sequoia National Forest. Nice. Good stuff. Man, if you guys don't have any questions, I did a live a couple of weeks ago, and y'all also didn't have any questions at that point. I'm starting to feel like this means I put out so much content that the questions get answered, or me saying, hey, let's open up for Q&A is surprising to you guys. And it's like, well, I don't really have anything to ask. View it as like it's almost like we're having a one-on-one. I'll answer any questions. Kente used to show up, and Kente's like 17. He would ask like 5 questions an episode. I miss having him here. But, going back to the partnership that I have with Nick and Sema and Cassie, one of the things that we laugh about is how we can go months and months and months without ever having to ask each other what each other is working on. We just know that they're taking care of business, and we can see that inside the results. I think that is like the key like barometer right there on a business of like whether or not a partnership is working. I don't have to ask Sima what she's doing. I just know that she's doing what she needs to do. Is there a pipeline visual for the workflow across stagings from lead to close? We don't have a visual, but we can put one together. It's pretty simple. Lead generation to the close. From the then you send the contract, sign contract, then you're going to do recon. Basically, Simone, if you just took all of the modules, basically the titles of the modules kind of be that visual pipeline for you. But recon, and then you're going to put together your dispositions packet, make sure you understand how to access the property, marketing and dispositions. Then you're going to get offers, assignment, transaction coordination, and close. All right. Smile says he's got a concern with PPL. Most of the leads I've bought don't answer. Not for sale, not the owner, scammers. The very few conversations I have, they don't answer after I call them back with an offer. All right. Well, Smiles, I actually just did a video, I think, about this morning. Should be coming out probably tomorrow, but kind of related. One thing, if you buy a lead and it's not for sale, it's not a lead, doesn't count against your metrics, that's a refund. Not the owner, refund. Scammers, refund. Okay. They don't answer, refund. Okay. Now, you saying that the most of them, every time I've heard this, when we really break it down, it's not the majority. It might happen, happens to us, but it's not the majority. Okay. And then the very few conversations that you have, they don't answer after I call them back with an offer. Well, you have the moment of truth, is that initial call. Make the offer right there. Get the contract right then and there. So you're adding a barrier of entry yourself. You're staring at the answer. You're saying, I can't get these people to answer. First thing you said, most of these I bought don't answer. You get them on the phone, and then you say, I'm going to make this where it's a 2-call close. Well, that's an issue, right? That's an issue that's a self-inflicted issue right there. Now, going back to the majority of your leads don't answer the phone or anything like that. When we really break this down, it's like, I'd love to know how many leads, how many of them actually don't answer and stuff like that. Because this is where it could get into how quickly are you calling the lead? What's your follow-up process look like? Are you leaving voicemails? Are you calling daily, right? It is the acquisitions person's responsibility to get that person on the phone. And so, again, when I hear these types of things, I always go back to, you understand that we're doing the exact same thing. Like inside of our business, we're buying leads from Speed to Lead, property leads, and Lead Zolo every single day. So I don't get special leads. I spend $30 a lead on property leads, exclusive, nationwide. I get whatever that gets sent to me. They don't go in and say, oh, this is RJ. They don't know what is a good lead and not a good lead, right? There's no way to know that. They're filling out a form and then it just gets sent to me. Those people are answering the phone. They're highly motivated. My team loves those leads. And so I question what's happening there. Maybe it's the specific lead source. Maybe it sounds to me this could be Speed to Lead Coupon Club leads. If that's the case, right? Those are going to be tougher. That's why the KPI there is 1 out of 25, right? So go into it knowing that if you buy 100 leads, 96% of them should fail. That's a massive failure rate, right? Going into it, you should know like 96% of the time, this is not going to close. So change that mindset a little bit and to understand like what it takes to achieve the result there. Currently experimenting with Facebook ads, considering taking my budget to Speed to Lead, just ripping Coupon Club leads. The math says I should be able to get 100 leads and I'm a really good closer. So here's the thing. I shared this inside of TU's group the other day. I talk about my partner, Sima. Her job is to run Facebook ads for us, right? For TU, but she has dedicated her career to be great at that. On one day, she created 60 plus new ads to generate leads. Unless you are some sort of Facebook ad legend, prodigy, there are people out there that are chewing you up, spitting you out the other side. I personally don't want to have any focus on running my own ads and my own lead generation when I know someone else out there, like Speed Lead, Property Leads, Leadzolo, is doing it already. What's the point? Now, some people have claimed that Facebook ads is performing better than them than PPL. Okay, I think it's all relative. What is actually better? You have zero refund policy on your own Facebook ads, whereas each PPL provider has a refund policy. People complain about some of the refund policies, but you have zero refund policy across any other lead generation out there. Again, you also, if you are tasting success on Facebook ads today, Facebook regularly changes how the Facebook ads work. So whereas what was working for us 3 months ago, a month ago, wasn't working. We had to make massive changes. How that works is having a dedicated person who has dedicated their career to understanding that can make those pivots right then and there. So as a wholesaler, where is your priority? Is it understanding how to win at Facebook ads, or is it closing deals? My personal opinion, it should be on closing deals. So if you want to take that exact same budget, you don't have to go all in on Speed to Lead. You can try Speed to Lead Coupon Club. You can try Property Leads exclusive nationwide, $30. You can try Leadzolo's Marketplace. Try all of them. Zach was saying something about a new law in Texas that came into effect September 1st. Yeah, I mean, everybody was talking about it. It's low-hanging fruit. It's in regards to the cold calling and texting that goes into effect. Yeah. I'm happy that Zach's always one of the first ones that breaks that. So you already know the answer. You listen to Zach, right? What's your opinion on that? Follow-up questions. How many times have you had to answer this exact question? Many times, but it's okay. That's what I'm here for. How to make an offer without making the seller mad. Educate them before offer or after. Follow the closer's formula. Omar, that's the key. Do you want to sell? How much do you want for it? Okay, now let's find out what your motivation is. Identify the type of seller we're talking to. Put them inside the 4 seller bucket. So they're highly motivated. If they are motivated, is the price correct? Or if it's incorrect, if the price is correct, we move forward with closing, reverse rapport, and then we hit them with the kill shot and we close. If the price is incorrect, then we're going to understand the motivation, uncover all the layers. Then we're going to educate, get them to understand the after repair value, get them to understand the amount of rehab to actually get to that after repair value. And then we're going to break down the numbers. If this is the ARV, it takes us this much to rehab it to get that. We have closing costs. We have holding costs. We want to make profit. This is how we get to our number. And then we repeat. We're going to have to do that 4 to 5 times to get them to understand. If you can close 1 out of 9 of those, then you're good. I don't have sellers get mad at me because of how we lay out the offer. It's very rare that sellers get mad nowadays because we're not lowballing them. And we're not either, very rarely are we going into a conversation where it's just we're making an offer. You'll see me, if it's way off, say it's $100,000 off, it's more of I'm giving a range than just an offer, 75,000. It's more like I need to be somewhere between, 65 and 80,000 based off of the numbers that we're talking about. And that's how it kind of gets them to understand where we're coming in. Property Leads is the only place I haven't tried. The promo code Smiles is in the description down below. There's a link there. It's propertyleads.com/RJ. Am I familiar with Newly Leads? I am, Liz. We have a TU member, Jordan Holt, and Joey Bibbo. They've been using Newly Leads. They actually just introduced me to them via text the other day. I need to respond to it. Haven't used them. I know that they've had success. I haven't tried them, so I can't say whether or not it works or not. What's the fastest way you built a buyer's list? We don't build buyer's lists. How would you build one today if you were starting from scratch? I wouldn't. So Seamus, we'll go with Seamus. Seamus, here's the deal. I've done videos on this. You can go check it out. If you just search buyers list, there's a video on this where I rant and rave about it for a while, but I'll give you a short breakdown. You don't need a buyers list nowadays because the technology exists that didn't exist in the past, which is why we had to build buyers lists. We have investor base, we have investor lift, deal speed, even Privy and PropStream now have them built in. At any point in time, no matter where I get a lead, I can go see how many buyers do I have there, what is their contact information. I can get a property under contract. I don't need to have built that prior relationship to be able to get a hold of them. I can go in and I can see what properties have they bought, how long did they own them, what did they purchase them for, what did they sell them for. I get all of that information before I even reach out to them. And so you don't need the buyers list. The buyers list should be built over doing deals and building that relationship that way. Once you have a deal, so you don't have to build a buyers list nowadays. Just, invest in the software that exists and leverage the fact that we're in the golden age of wholesaling. What does a drip campaign look like on Resimply? You load up all your leads, and then what does Resimply do? So it's in the statuses, and then on our statuses, it has drips that'll send out text to them, try to re-engage them in a conversation. Angel, what I would say, it would help you, especially with your time constraints that you have. You can't rely on it because it's just simply a text that's going out to them, trying to get them re-engaged. It's good, but it's not the solution. Hey, RJ, love your content. My question is, if you get really rural leads, do you typically try to wholesale them? Yes. Or just move on because there most likely aren't buyers, hard to comp. So hard to comp, not a thing. Very, very rare, like 1% where it's like you can't comp. In regards to not having buyers, going back to leveraging the software that exists nowadays, you go in, you see how many buyers do I have? Is there activity going on there? Right? If there's no comps and there's no buyer activity, then yeah, we move on. We have to embrace no and say, listen, you're in too rural of an area. But if we have activity, then we're absolutely going to contract that and wholesale it. What are the KPIs for property leads compared to Coupon Club? I know the main difference is not being able to pick the lead. What's your experience with lead to close ratio on it? We're about 1 out of 10 on property leads. It's really good. But again, we're nationwide, and we've been doing it for 5 years now nationwide. So we can close it. We can dispo in areas that some people can't. So if you still go into it with the same KPIs as Coupon Club and you're just a little bit more picky about which ones you close, you should have an excellent contract to close ratio. Now, lead to close, I mean, you could absolutely do 1 out of 10 just really on like the first or second dial. It's really good. RJ's the GOAT. What's up, Trey? What about Leafs lead generation and TU? No. Are we talking about Leif from Iceland? I didn't know he was doing lead generation. Or Leif? Oh, Leif. See, we have a Leif and we have a Leif. Leif is in Seattle. Funny enough, Leif, who's from Iceland, he's also in Seattle now. But Leif, I haven't used it. I think he's just running PPC. I'm sure it works. There's people that are succeeding with it. Austin Wilson also does it. But again, Simone, like it gets to a point where it's like, what are we looking for? You're just looking for sellers that have raised their hands, Have I ever used the Dispo AI feature and speed to lead that comes with the package? No. I mean, could it work? Sure. But we're very laser focused on what we do. So as new features come out, I mean, it takes a lot for someone to entice me to try something new. Because I'm kind of like, at the end of the day, if I tell you guys like, hey, like you guys asked about Newly and Lath and like all this different stuff. And it's like, I'm sure that it works. I'm not denying that. But so does property leads and speed lead and lead Zolo. So what do you need new ones for? Just so now I can say, hey guys, speed to lead, property leads, lead Zolo, Newly, real estate bees, need to sell my house fast. I mean, at some point in time, it's like analysis paralysis of too many options. What are you looking for? I'm already telling you which ones work. How often does spam likely occur on any of your phone numbers? I recently had to register. Yeah, it happens. Just regularly check it, especially if you start feeling like it's slow or something. Call your cell phone, call somebody else's cell phone, but it's just part of what we do. I think it's like you have to place like on average like over 150 dials a day or something like that to get on that. So you got to really be working it. What makes property leads so efficient? Well, one, they're exclusive. Two, they're all PPC and SEO. There's some Meta and TikTok, TV, and radio, I think, it mixed in there, but the majority of them are going to be PPC. And then also, yeah, they're all inbound. Speed to lead has the cold call in there, which actually they claim is like their most efficient. But again, the fact that property leads, $30 leads, when they come in, they're exclusively sold to one partner. Coupon Club, 46 hours, sits there, be bought by multiple people, right? So there's just a little nuance there. You're not getting the pick. Speed to lead, I can go in and pick, right? So I can go, I can see the motivation. I don't see anything on property leads. Whatever they send me, they send me. So today, if I buy 5 leads for property leads, they could all be TV commercial ready, no motivation whatsoever. They just want an offer. You have to take that. Whereas speed to lead, I would never get that. So I'm going to see the motivation, I'm going to see the condition, I'm going to see the location before I decide to buy it. So what makes property leads the best, is the most efficient on that regard, is the fact that it's coming in and it's that exclusive, fresh, right then and there. So we're on it. It leads to better KPIs. Anyone here want to partner? I have some leads I've been working on and would like to partner with someone that could help. I'm fairly new. However, I put in 8 hours a day. I'm from San Antonio. There's people in here that are watching from San Antonio. I'm pretty sure Chris Gomez, I'm about to have a one-on-one with him after this live. He's in San Antonio. There's people inside of Liz. What I would tell you is just prioritizing, like trying to make sure that this gets done correctly. You'd probably want to partner up with someone that's inside of TU. There are members. Edward Luna is in San Antonio. Chris Gomez is down there. Candy Munson, Kenneth White, Sal Martinez. There's people that I would prioritize there inside of TU. The other thing that I could do for you, if you want to reach out to them, is give you a link to the Titanium University community member map. That gives you who is where they're located, and then their email so you can reach out to them. Would I partner with close family? If it meets the right criteria that I talked about earlier, sure. I'm not going to avoid it just because people say, hey, like, don't do business with family members. We have people inside of TU that are doing business with their brothers and all kinds of stuff. So I would absolutely partner up if it was the right fit and we were aligned in our vision. Brah, that map's worth $5K. Listen, I've only given it out twice. Today is the second time. The only other time I gave it out was a speed to lead training. But I also am doing it, Tyler, to give the benefit to you guys, the TU members, because now people will reach out to you with deals in Ohio, and hopefully it benefits your business. I'm trying to also leverage it to where it's a benefit to you guys, the TU members. I do see property leads and speed to lead working. Ain't broke, don't need fixing. Exactly, Simone. That's my thing, is just there's always something out there that I don't know about that is working, that could work, and we absolutely need to explore it. But I also want to sit there and go, we already have 3 different lead sources. That's a lot. And again, what are our goals and intentions with our wholesale business, and adding in more lead generation sources and tactics and things like that can be overwhelming and almost have an inverse effect on your wholesale operation than what you were trying to accomplish. So Liz says, I just lost my first contract. Liz, man, you got to let people know gotta let us know. Maybe someone could have helped you. You know, post in the vault. That map moving forward, absolutely reach out to those TU members, see if somebody can help you there. Let's not let that be what happens on the next contract. Will says property leads are the best quality and quantity. Interesting that you put in quantity there. I would agree. Property leads is really good in the fact that I can say I want this many leads a day, and I'm just going to get that. I do like that. Whereas times I also see people have analysis paralysis when it comes to speed to leads marketplace. It can be a benefit. Like I said, I know the motivation, the condition, and the location, and all the other information. That can also cause people to be stuck. Could you or somebody on your team maybe jump on a quick Zoom with me and help me set up my property leads account, please? I don't need much help, but you convinced me to sign up. They actually will do it for you. I think you schedule a Zoom call when you set up, because it's not like it's not like speed to lead, where you're going to get in there and just start. You have to have them schedule a Zoom call and go through it. What I would tell you is, it's the best way I can do this. If you were to make a post inside of the vault, I can tag the property leads team in it, and they'll get you hooked up. Steve and James and Andy over there. What does the promo code give you? I don't know. What did it say? Let me type it in real quick. Propertyleads.com/RJ. I think it gives you free money. I think it gives you like $250 in free leads or something like that. I'm fairly certain that's what it is. Yeah, $250. You had a buyer, but the EMD was not sent. You did not have a buyer then. And again, Liz, this goes back to just, it's your first deal. You know, I mean, you learn things the hard way. You never stop marketing a deal for dispositions until signed assignment, non-refundable EMD is deposited. Until then, you don't have a buyer. You keep marketing it. That sucks. It's a hard lesson to learn on your first deal, but at least at this point, you know, you won't repeat that mistake again. Never stop marketing your deal until you have non-refundable EMD and assigned assignment. The promo code was for property leads. It's just the same one you already know, Antoine. Propertyleads.com/RJ. They were asking about it. All right, guys. Show me some love. Like today's video. I appreciate you guys. We're going to keep pumping out the content day in and day out. Hope you guys enjoy it. See y'all tomorrow.